Welcome to Monday, November 2nd, 2020. Yes, a new month. It's November, but I swear it's not going to feel like November when you step outside after what was just a really good, beautiful autumn day yesterday across the entire region. We're going to start off this week with high pressure mostly dominating the weather pattern. So we're going to have some beautiful, and I mean gorgeous, November weather. This is the way it's gone this fall. We have these long stretches of above average temperatures. It's actually really good. Then all of a sudden the hammer comes down. We get Arctic air, we get snowed on, and then it gets nice again. Well, we're about ready to repeat this same cycle with another long stretch of nice above average conditions. Then it all comes crashing down with a storm system arriving this week. So we do expect great weather through Friday across the entire West. Big change coming this weekend for the entire western United States. And long term, we may not see the rebound after this storm that we've had this fall. After the storm comes in this weekend, it stays colder, stays unsettled in the longer term, as it looks like the weather gets more busy towards the middle of November, as it should. But I tell you, folks, the next 5 or 6 days will be fabulous. This is where we're going to be with the jet stream pattern by today. We've got a ridge of high pressure in the west, the coldest, most unsettled weather locked up over New England. Really, coast to coast, this is a pretty quiet weather pattern all week. By Wednesday, notice a more west to east zonal. We call this west to east pattern. Got a little bit of a ripple coming through here midweek that may produce a few showers in the mountains, but that's all. For the most part, mild air from the Pacific gets pushed in coast to coast. When the flow is west to east like this, not only do you get across the country faster if you're flying in an airplane, but you just get Pacific air pushed into the nation. So basically most of the nation here is pretty mild, pretty tranquil. But up here in the Gulf of Alaska region, we've got a storm brewing. A big front coming in behind it, then high pressure building in. Look at the vortex of cold that's building up in Canada, real cold up there. And if you look at, see what happens. This is Wednesday. So high pressure today and Tuesday, westerly flow for Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. By Thursday afternoon, you start to see the pattern get more of a shape to it. We got high pressure building in right here in the eastern Pacific. This trough bundling in some real cold air and some Pacific moisture. And it's going to be driven this way as we get to the end of the week. And there we are. Look at that. Big, big change. This is for Sunday morning. Notice the big trough here over all of the Pacific Northwest, down the West Coast, and moving into the Rockies. This is going to bring in some much colder air and Pacific moisture. We got that ridge up in the Gulf of Alaska driving that cold air in. And when you have a high pressure ridge in the southeastern United States, high pressure in the Gulf of Alaska and eastern Pacific, all of the cold and all the unsettled weather ends up in the western United States. So as we get to the weekend, much colder air is coming in, some rain and snow. Now the devil is in the details. It is way too far out to talk about accumulations, who gets the most, who gets the least. We can tell you this, the models are in very good agreement that much colder air is going to overspread the region this weekend into the early parts of next week. There's going to be rain, then some snow, but we've got a lot to sort out because this system could end up consolidating in the four corners and becoming a bigger storm. It could end up being more up here, which would still lead to colder, wintry weather. But it really is going to be a situation here to figure out where the low is going to set up, where the best moisture is going to coalesce, and we've got a few days to figure that out. In these situations, we like to say the trend is your friend. The trend by the weekend into next week is much colder with increasing chances of getting wet and white, but until then, unseasonably mild and just gorgeous autumn weather. Now here is a look at what the temperatures might be like. This is a week from today. By next Monday, notice this big area of purple, 20 to 30 degrees below zero. Below average, not below zero, 20 to 30 degrees below average in those areas here with that cold wave coming on in. Now you can see the very warm air relative to normal for the eastern side of the country as that trough dives in. And a lot of this cold air, notice it gets west of the divide. It gets all the way into California and the Pacific Northwest. When you get cold air on both sides of the divide this time of year, it's harder to warm up quickly. So that's why the cold is going to have more staying power as we go into next week. Thanks for listening and watching the Day Weather Podcast. Have a great Monday. We'll talk to you tomorrow.